We clear, ready to transmit. Pro fan hoops on the court, we got the game lit. Not talking highlight reels just for the common glance. We talking dedicated skills, taking every chance. From logo threes to rebounds, Chicago got the me-bounds. Asia got 3 chips, Las Vegas Aces in the town. You tune into the channel if you want to get the facts. Women's basketball is fire, no need to relax.
Still doing the same things. What's going on, all? It's Saturday, almost 3 o'clock, and I came across some stuff. I just had to laugh. The doomsday clock has already expired, and the WNBA and the WNBA Players Association is still at a crossroads and can't come to something. And when I saw this tweet today, when I saw this information from Rachel Demita, and I think Alexa Philippoussis, is it Alexa Filippo. I think they had the same thing, but I got this from Rachel Demita. And it's the different the different reactions to the deal. So I wanted to read this both of you. But so before I read this, I need everybody to just think about when you were coming up, when you was in high school, when you were a young adult, when you were out of college and finally got a real job and all of that type of stuff, when you were going through, life be life and you were going through experiences, for the first time. Now, you either knew one of these type of people or you are this type of people. So when you get into your corporate job or your real job or your real 9 to 5 for the first time, you always knew somebody that still kept it street, still kept it like they was in the hood. I'm gonna keep it real, and they had that type of stuff. But there's a time and a place for that. There's a setting for that, and you just can't talk to anybody any old type of way. That's everybody knows the at-home voice versus the at-work voice, and those stereotypes and things of that nature, especially when you're dealing with Black folks, but it happens to white folks and it happens to everybody. It happens to Asian folks, Indian folks. Everybody's got that. You're on the job and you got your job voice. When you're at home, when you talk to your people a certain type of way, you understand what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So that's the first thing I thought of when I saw this response. And I was like, who the hell is writing this nonsense? Not nonsense, but no. Who writing this nonsense for the Players Association? What are y'all doing? Y'all acting like y'all in high school. Y'all acting like, you acting like you done just caught your best friend girl cheating or something like that. And you want to, snap the fingers and roll the neck. And it's like, what the hell are y'all doing? So that's my opinion. I'm going to read it to you. You judge for yourself. So this is the WNBA, and I'm going to just say the Players Association because I'm sick of saying the WNBPA. So this is the WNBA, owners and such, and the Players Association. These are their perspective statements regarding the CBA deadline passing. So this is from the WNBA. The current collective bargaining agreement has expired, and negotiations with the Women's National Basketball Players Association remains ongoing as the league experiences a pivotal time of unprecedented popularity and growth, we recognize the importance of building upon that momentum. Our priority is a deal that significantly increases player salaries, enhances the overall player experience, and supports the long-term growth of the league for current and future generations. So that's one. Sorry about that. My phone just rang. And I noticed my sister. Hold on. Murphy's Law, man. Murphy's Law. So, all right, that was the WNBA. That was the WNBA. Now, this is the statement by the Players Association. Now, mind you, this is so first of all, you got basically one paragraph. Now you got four. 1, 2, 3, 5. You got 5 paragraphs. So here's the thing. At midnight, the 2020 WNBA collective bargaining agreement will expire. Despite demonstrating our willingness to compromise in order to get a deal done, the WNBA and its teams have failed to meet us at the table with the same spirit and seriousness. Instead, they have remained committed to undervaluing player contributions, dismissing player concerns, and running out the clock. Today's display of an inflatable rat, a universal symbol of labor protests outside of the NBA store, calls attention to how the league and its teams have handled these negotiations. By delaying and clinging to the status quo, they are jeopardizing the livelihoods of players and the trust and investment of fans, all in the name of preserving regressive provisions that no longer belong in women's basketball. Players care deeply about their fans and take pride in honoring that loyalty every time they take the court. The league's tactics harm current and future players and marginalize the very people who show up for the game in communities across the country. The misguided approach will not work. In the face of the league and team's actions, the players remain undeterred, unafraid, and unwavering in their commitment to doing what is necessary to secure a transformational new CBA. This agreement must include a salary system tied to a meaningful share of the revenue that would not exist without player labor, mandate professional working conditions, and require protections that honor the players who built this league and set the next generation up for success. Make no mistake, pay equity is not optional and progress is long overdue. We urge the league and its teams to meet this moment. The players already have and will continue to do so. Let me read that last sentence again. You heard me pass. Let me read this again. This agreement must include a salary system tied to a meaningful share of the revenue that would not exist without player labor. Share of the revenue that would not exist without player labor. Mandate professional working conditions and require protections that honor the players who built this league and set the next generation up for success. Require protections that honor the players who built this league and set the next generations up for success. What did I tell you guys before? This is it in a nutshell. What did I tell you guys before? The veteran players are trying to get everything they doing, everything they can to get a piece of this pie before they're out of the league. And a lot of times you set it up for the next generation. If it comes to be that you don't get paid like this, Cheryl Miller can't worry about what was around when she played. She would have dominated everybody, but it didn't exist. But she set the foundation for the next Cheryl Swoops and all of them. And then Cheryl Swoops, they didn't get paid a lot of money, but she set the foundation for the next generation of players that came out, Taurasi and Ella Del Don and all of them. Then they set the foundation for what you got now. for discovering Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and Paige Bueckers and all of that. So, and I know I'm skipping some players in between there sometimes, but it's like, to me, that's the thing. The veteran players are trying to get their piece of the pie now. And the optics are, whether they're trying to do this or not, the optics are the veterans are holding up the progress because I'm going to get my piece of the pie too. And when you look at both of these statements, that's why I said in the beginning, that looks like that came from somebody that's still trying to come to your job and talk like they still in the streets. Like you in a corporate setting and we got to do things the right way. And we don't get down like that here because this is a place of business. And this is business. Friends are friends. Don't confuse the two. Now, when you get home and you want to talk like you talk, you do that when you're home. But right here, this is about business. So we got to put forth the right look. And the Players Association, let me say it like this. Y'all tripping. I understand what you want. I understand why you want it. But what you're asking for is unrealistic by the owner standards. They're not going to move off of it. So you got to find a different way to get to your goal because it's not going to be at this particular time in this one deal. It ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. The lockout that's on the Players Association. So by Nneka Ogwumike coming out and like, hey, we've been authorized to go on strike. We've been authorized. To me, lockout and strike is the same thing. Because right now, everybody's operating, even though the extension has expired, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. We just don't have basketball. We don't have women's basketball right now. If Caitlin Clark wants to go to the Indiana Fever facility and work out, she can still do that. If Sabrina Ionescu wants to go to the New York facility and work out, get her ankles taped, she can still do that. When they have a lockout, when they go on strike, the lockout starts and they can't go nowhere. You can't go to a WNBA facility and get your ankles taped or warm up or get a massage or hop in the sauna, or you can't do any activities in the WNBA facilities. You locked out. You on strike. So right now, they are operating in good faith. That's what the last one said. That's what Stewie said. They are operating in good faith. We'll get it done. Ain't that what Stewie said? But a couple hours earlier, a couple days earlier, Fee didn't seem to think that. Fee was 10 toes down. And like, I know what it is to run a sustainable business. Sometimes you just shouldn't say nothing. You know how to run a sustainable business. This league has been operating for 2 years. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. That's like somebody trying to tell me that they played 2 years of high school football or 2 years of Little League. Now all of a sudden, you know everything about the pro game. Like, no, it takes a little bit more than that. Holler if Unrivaled is still around in 10 years, then you can talk. When you're looking at something that's been rolling for 30 years, and you've been in business for 2. You done had 2 seasons, and now you talking big game now? No, I'm sorry. You've only had 1 season, and you just started your 2nd season, and you got a nerve to talk big game? You can't do that because it turns everybody like, really? You think you got it like that? Holler at me when it's 10 years down the line. Are you still here? Are you still operating? Then you can talk your talk. You ain't even take no lumps yet. You didn't even talking like they deserve everything, and they want to negotiate it, but they trying to take the whole pie. And that's never worked. Never. Especially, and this is the thing that I think these players are forgetting, that has never worked, especially for a business that hasn't been profitable for 30 years. You can't do that. That's like your mom and dad owning a bodega, and they got one employee that steals from them all the time, and then that employee wants a raise. That's what that's like. You own a business, you got an employee that's costing you money, that's stealing from you, don't show up on time, but they still want to be paid the same. And then after that poor performance that's costing you money, they got a nerve to come in and say, I need more money. I need a raise. What? So again, they getting the last 2 years, this huge spike in attendance, in appeal, in interest, in endorsements, this huge spike. But you don't even know if you can sustain it yet. Because however, this is when I say it, numbers lie. Numbers don't lie, but they do deceive. Because they'll tell you that the viewership and everything for Unrivaled has jumped up. We done had great, they want to throw numbers out, but then you compare it to what it was and in comparison to everything else. And it's like, we're not watching the same thing here. This is not the same. Not at all. Yeah, Chicago, the veterans seem like they want to get everything. That's the thing. That's the one thing I learned. Now, when the NFL went on strike, that was before I played. That was before my time in the NFL. But I remember when it came time to vote and do things like that, all of those veterans in that locker room made sure the rookies was doing what they were supposed to do. This is why we got to do it. This is why you got to pay this. This is why because a couple years ago, we couldn't even do this. And the veterans made sure that they let the rookies know when it comes to the Players Association, you got to cast your vote, you got to do this. They was on top of that because they remember what it was like when they went on strike. They remember what it was like when NFL didn't have insurance and all this kind of stuff. So I understand. And the NFL, the players didn't get everything they wanted. When they went on strike, go back and go to YouTube and look in the annals of time when the NFL went on strike. Remember we had the scab players and all that kind of stuff? I might be a little bit too old for you. A lot of y'all might not have remembered that. But we had scab players because they were desperate to put something on the field. Why? Because people had already paid their money for advertising and endorsements and everything that comes with that. I paid to have a plane fly a banner around Veterans Stadium when y'all play the Raiders. Now you telling me y'all ain't playing, but I didn't already paid for the gas, for the plane, for the pilot. So you get all of this money hanging in limbo. Ain't nobody thinking about that. Ain't nobody thinking about who works at the arenas if the WNBA games aren't there. What happens to all of those people that work in the arenas? What happens to them? They ain't got no job. Or they losing a lot of their income. They can't just depend on the next concert that comes to town. So my point is this has nothing to do with whether the players are right or wrong. This has everything to do with the players asking for too much right off the bat. Because the owners, it's a give and take. It's a quid pro quo. The owners are not going to give everything. They're not going to give a 30% share of revenue, of all rev. They're not going to do that. Who does that? But they can get a hell of a lot more than they're getting right now, which is what, 15%? So that can go up, but it ain't going to be 30%. So it feels like they're trying to earn the money they missed out off. Exactly, Kira. Exactly. That is I never said it like that, but 100%. 100%. I agree with that 100%. Let me put that back on the board. I agree with that. Like they missing out on NIL money. And it's a shame because you're not going to get everything that you owe or everything that you think you owed right now. It's not going to happen. It'll most likely, if they get this deal done, it'll most likely happen in the next CBA deal. Because in the next CBA deal, 4 years from now, we'll be able to see without a shadow of a doubt, hey, is the Caitlin Clark experience, is that still riding high? Is she still the most popular player in the league? What's Juju Watkins doing? Is she bringing in numbers like, is she filling arenas like Caitlin Clark did? Is the attendance up everywhere that Juju Watkins goes? Is attendance up everywhere that Hannah Hidalgo plays? Is attendance up everywhere Malaysia for Wiley plays? And is attendance up everywhere that Lauren Betts plays? That's what's going to tell you the story right there. If these next crop of women's basketball stars, they are not going to get the same attention that Caitlin Clark demands. They are not going to do that. She is a one of one. And I say this all the time. This does not have anything to do with her talent. There are other basketball players right now that are better than she is. There are better players, some of them in Europe, some of them in the WNBA right here in the States. There are other players that are better than she is. It just so happens that she is the most popular player that the WNBA has ever had. Not the best player, the most popular player. And I say this all the time to the point I feel like I got to throw up now. Asia Wilson is the best WNBA player. Point, period, end of paragraph, full stop. But she is not the most popular. That's a fact. That's what's going to set this up for the next couple of years. 4 years from now, what does the attendance numbers look like? Remember, everybody wanted to bring that up, and everybody wanted to poo-poo on Caitlin Clark, and they wanted to pump up Angel and pump up all these other players that we're good too, and all of that. Nobody said you wasn't good, but it was just so obvious and so petty and jealous because somebody else was getting it, and somebody said the only reason they giving that girl that credit because she's some white girl from Iowa, and I was like, no, it ain't. Because guess what? Ella Del Don was a white girl. Diana Taurasi, and let me be honest with you, I don't even like Diana Taurasi. I think she's a dirty player. But guess what? Diana Taurasi in her prime, I will take her over Caitlin Clark. Let's keep it a buck. Sue Bird in her prime? What? So you can't tell me it's a white girl thing. Because there have been plenty of white players that were better than Caitlin Clark. And for whatever reason, they just they didn't have a recipe. They didn't. I remember saying this her rookie year. Caitlin Clark, how did I say it? I said at the time, and I meant this, at the time, Sabrina Ionescu is what Caitlin Clark will turn into, maybe a little bit better. She can shoot the three. She can play D. Just an all-around good player. Now, I said that her rookie year because Sabrina Ionescu was already established. Sabrina Ionescu was the one that brought a whole lot of eyes to the WNBA when she went toe-to-toe with Steph in the NBA contest. She was the one to do that. I think, in my opinion, Caitlin Clark made a mistake by not participating in the NBA challenge and doing the three-point contest when they asked her to come the next year. I understand her reasoning. She said she wanted to do it on the WNBA court first. I get that. But you weren't there yet. That's, in my opinion, that's a mistake that she made. Because that wouldn't have done nothing but boost up the appeal of the game. The only problem is it'd have been one of them situations where if she'd have done really good, it'd have been like, see, you need to watch the WNBA. If she would have done bad, they'd have been like, see, they ain't shit. So it's kind of like, I still wish she would have done it. I think she would have done okay. But I think what Sabrina did, because I wasn't aware of Sabrina Ionescu. I've seen her, didn't know who she was, didn't know her name. I just knew she played basketball. Then I saw her on the thing and I was like, oh, she got skills. She's nice. And what that did was when I started watching WNBA, investing in WNBA, she was one of the people I watched. I want to watch Sabrina Ionescu. I'm going to watch Caitlin Clark. I'm going to watch Angel Reese. I'm going to watch Arike Ogunbowale. I had a list of people. I'm going to watch Jewel Lloyd. I had a list of people that I wanted to watch that was not named Caitlin Clark because I knew that's where all of the attention was. And sure enough, what did everybody say? You only watching it because of her. You don't watch this game. Well, no, but there is a spillover effect that happens. So you will watch Caitlin Clark, and I tell everybody all the time, Caitlin Clark, I love Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is not my favorite player on the Indiana Fever. That is Kelsey Mitchell. How many people got introduced to Kelsey Mitchell? And Kelsey Mitchell got super popular because they started throwing her name around like, oh, her and Caitlin Clark ain't getting along. Then you had all these stories come out. And it's like, that shit ain't true. But my point is when your name gets big enough, because you're around certain people, when you're around the high profile, your profile can't help but go up. This has nothing to do with the fact that Kelsey Mitchell is a phenomenal player. She was balling when she came out of Ohio State. She was balling with Indiana. Indiana just didn't have a team. The same way that somebody named Michael Jordan, just like it with the Bulls. Michael Jordan was incredible, but he couldn't win shit. Then they drafted a guy named Scottie Pippen, and everything changed. You got to get the right people together, and that's exactly what they did. Then you had Lexie Hull, who sat on the bench that whole first year. Then Stephanie White let Hall start playing, and Lexie Hull starts balling. Then Sophie Cunningham comes to town, and then she starts balling. And you're like, well, wait a minute. Where did these people come from? When you put a team together, it's amazing how different players look when they are surrounded with a good team. That's what it's all about. Asia Wilson had good teams. Sabrina Ionescu had good teams. Phoenix had good teams. Not Phoenix, but Phoenix. Phoenix had good teams for a while with Diana, and I think Brittany Griner was out there for a minute. So they had good teams. And I don't care what sport you play, if you don't have a good team around the star, you just have the star. So now everybody is on the rise. Everybody's on the rise. And as bad as they treated Caitlin Clark with all of the stuff, and let's keep it a buck. It wasn't Caitlin Clark. It wasn't just Caitlin Clark. I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny that all of this attention that Caitlin Clark was getting for these bad fouls and all that kind of stuff. Didn't nobody say shit when that girl hip tossed Angel Reese on her head. Didn't nobody say shit about that. So, they pick and choose. Let's keep it a buck. They pick and choose. But, I mean, at the end of the day, the Players Association still acting like I said, you act like you done seen your best friend's boyfriend cheating, and you went to read him his right. Y'all not gonna do this, and we put an inflatable rat outside the NBA store. Like that works. Like this is the problem, because they just when you want to make your problems interfere with somebody else's, trying to just go through their day to day. That's a problem. Reese, I wouldn't say, in my opinion, I don't think Reese is dirty. She played hard, and they got her little things. Like, I thought she was a little extra. when she tried to jump at Caitlin Clark when she pulled her hair. And like, if you look at the play, I understand what was going on, but I also understand why she got mad. But like, what was you gonna do? Throw down right there? Like, really? Like, that's the type of stuff, like the petty stuff, because you had a girl that slammed you on your neck and you ain't jump up and try to fight her, because that was Alyssa Thomas. You ain't want them hands. So let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. And when they did, and she wasn't the only one. I still remember, I can't remember what the girl's name was. I believe she played for Seattle. And this was the rookie year. This was the first year of Caitlin Clark. She was dribbling down the court and the girl popped her in the neck. And I was like, and everybody just gonna act like that shit didn't happen. Refs ain't gonna blow the whistle. And in my opinion, this whole thing with how they was treating Caitlin Clark and all that kind of stuff, this whole thing falls in the lap of Kathy Engelbert. Now, I am not a Kathy Engelbert hater, because I think people just forget the fact that she saved the league coming out of COVID. However, it was incumbent upon Kathy Engelbert to have a conversation, a come to Jesus meeting with them damn referees and officials, because that shit that they let go on was some nonsense. And they could have solved so many issues. The way the game looked, how people felt about the games, they could have solved so many issues if the referees just blew the damn whistle. They could have solved so many issues, but they just let it go. And to your point, it turned into bully ball. So I don't know if it's over. It's too much. It's too much money at hand. But here's what people forget. The owners have a lot of money. The WNBA is not their focus. The NBA is. The NBA is where they make their money. They subsidize I looked it up, $10 to $40 million a year. They give money for operating costs to the WNBA. They give money. That cost went up more last year when they got the planes, because they couldn't just ignore the planes anymore. That was a safety issue, because you got all of the fans and people want autographs. That became a safety issue. Now you got to give them private jets. And guess what? If Caitlin Clark wouldn't have been there, they wouldn't have got the damn private jets. There was not enough attention for WNBA basketball to warrant too many people showing up at TSA checkpoints and all of that type of stuff, looking at the players. Nobody cared about that. They traveled and coached just like everybody else. But now when you put a megastar in there, now there's a difference. So they had to take notice. And as ugly as he said it, as ugly, inappropriate, disrespectful as it came out, he was still right. Charles Barkley. As ugly as it was when he said it and how he said it, and that's, that's just Chuck being Chuck. He wasn't wrong. The charter flights or private flights came about because the attention that Caitlin Clark was bringing. Here's another example. When Kennedy Carter knocked Caitlin Clark down, when she knocked Caitlin Clark down in that game, and then the next game, they had to get security coming off the bus because they had people pushing up on her, asking her for autographs. It was like a real sketchy situation. Did things like that ever happen before Caitlin Clark came to the league? That's the type of stuff that they just didn't want to admit. Because they want to complain about it, because attention comes at a price. Attention comes at a price. So you don't get this popular and all of a sudden everything just stays the same. That's why it was always funny to me how everybody, remember the Atlanta Dream owner, they not like us, and she said all of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? What do you care where it comes from? As long as the checks is getting cashed, and the money is good coming through the gate. What do you care? We don't care. Green is the only color that you should be worried about. But for some reason, she got on this tilt, and you knew what she was talking about. They not like us. And what she was talking about was Caitlin Clark fans, Indiana fans. And I'm like, well, hold on. I'm an Indiana fan, and I ain't coming at you like that. So there's a whole other contingency of fans that like Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever that are black folks that ain't doing the shit that they claiming. We ain't spouting racial crap and all. We ain't doing that. So who's the us you talking about? But I guess my point is, as a minority owner in a WNBA team, why are you using that type of rhetoric in the first place? Once again, business, and then trying to sound like you trying to be down for the cause and try to sound like you steal from the streets. It was almost like the other day, somebody on a broadcast said, for shizzle my nizzle, because they was talking about Snoop Dogg at one of the football games, and they said, for shizzle my nizzle. And I was like, this dude don't even understand what he just said. But he just threw it out there because he wanted to be down for the cause. And I'm sure he had a conversation with one of the producers or VPs or something like that, because you don't even know what you said, bro. But again, it's the optics are you had a lot of pettiness and jealousy because you had all of this attention that didn't exist before, and you were mad that you weren't the cause of it. And my thing is like, who gives a damn who kicks the door in, as long as the door is open? If you hungry and the refrigerator is locked, who gives a damn who opens the door? As long as the door is open. Get your belly full. NBA started in 46, didn't have private jets till late 80s, with the Pistons were the first team to do so. Yeah. And guess what? There were more issues back then with racism and things like that, especially when you look at somebody like Bill Russell playing in Boston. All the black players that played in Boston, go look up the stories that they tell or the shit that they had to go through. But they still did it. They set the foundation for the next generation. Bill Russell and all of them set the foundation for Dr. J and all of those guys in the late 70s and early 80s. And then when the early 80s came, that was Magic Johnson. 84 was Michael Jordan. Then the next generation came. Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Julius Erving. Then the next generation, Penny Hardaway, Shaq. After the University of Michigan, the Fab Five, when that thing exploded, all of them went to the league, and it just kept building and building. But everybody built the foundation for the next. So, yeah, the only other time was when you had real fandom noticeable in the WNBA because of Team USA and their stars who started the league. I mentioned that before, Carlos. I mentioned that before. When Cheryl Swoops, what year was that? Was that 88? Let me see. 1988 Women's Olympic Women's Basketball. I think that was 88. Let me see. Teresa Edwards, Kami Etheridge, Cindy Brown, Andy Donovan, Teresa Weatherspoon, Bridget Gordon-Village. So no. So this would have had to be 92. Cynthia Cooper. So no, this was the next year. So this was 19. Let's look at 1992. I think because that was the year. Because I just remember them. 1992. Maybe I got the thing wrong. Cynthia Cooper again. I'm trying to think when was Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Lobo, Lisa Leslie, Dawn Staley. What year was that? 92 to 96? Yeah, because the reason why I'm bringing that particular one up was because I remember seeing that team on Martin. Martin had his show. Martin was the #1 show on. And if you were a celebrity, if you were an athlete and you got a guest spot on Martin, you had reached the pinnacle. Because Martin was at the peak of the culture at that particular time. So I just remember Lobo Leslie, Dawn Staley, and I think it was Swoops. And of course they came and they played the game, and it was Stilly and Martin. They got their ass busted. Dawn, Teresa, and Lobo. Yeah. But just the fact that they were on Martin. If you were on Martin at this time in the 90s, if you were on Martin or Arsenio, you had reached the peak of the culture. Because for black folks at that time, that was the peak of the culture. We didn't give a damn if you was on USA Today or if you was on Good Morning America. The culture was Martin and Arsenio. And back then, when they started the WNBA, those games were packed. So let me see. So they started in 1996. So that's about right. Yep. They started the WNBA started in 96. And that first couple of years, it was people going to the games. And it was enough for everybody to eat. So it was just everybody built the foundation for the next. And it seems to me the optics are that the veterans now are trying to get their little piece of the pie at the detriment of the league. Because they're not going to pay. If they bump up your pay to where you are making $500,000 a year, let's not even use that number. Let's say if they bump up your pay to where you are making $300,000 a year. When I first started following the WNBA, and I saw these ladies are getting like $275,000 contracts, I was like, that ain't too bad. Blah 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 blah. Then I was like, wait a minute, that's a $275,000 contract over the course of 4 years? No, that's bullshit. Ain't no way they should be making that little amount of money. But that's where the league was. That's how much money the league was not making, and they were okay with it because they played for it. So if you mean to tell me if they're going to bump up your salary from $75,000 a year to bump you up to $300,000 a year, and you mad because they don't want to pay for your housing no more, you make $300,000 a year. You should get your own housing. Now, if the teams want to pitch in and say, hey, we have housing, the team owners own this building, we own this apartment block, or you can do stuff like that. You can still do stuff like that outside of the WNBA. Because if I'm a part owner of a team and I own real estate, and I say, hey, I'm on these top 2 floors are for my WNBA players and free agents who might need to come in. That can be done. But you cannot mandate the teams to do that. You can't do that. That's why I keep looking at this thing. Mandate professional working conditions. That, you got to be careful how you word that. Mandate professional working conditions. We want the state-of-the-art gym, training center. We want all of this. Well, all of that costs a hell of a lot of money. Plus the people that you got to pay to work there. Them people wrapping your ankles make good money. That person looking at your knee when you tweak your knee in the game makes good money. And they got benefits, so it's not just, hey, pay for everything. That shit costs a lot of money. So insurance costs money. Health insurance costs money. And I've said this before, they got to deal with something that we don't have to deal with as men. They got to deal with postpartum child issues and things of that nature. Child care issues that men don't worry about. That shit is expensive. That is no joke. So, give and get. We're going to give you the health insurance, the child care. We're going to give you this, but we're not going to give you housing, and we're not going to let you. We're not going to give you a free rental car. You got to play the game. You got to negotiate, and negotiating is not give us everything, because that's what it looks like they're doing. Give us everything. So, bro, I'm telling you, man, when you are a professional sports organization, people assume that they have the best of the best. And just going on that assumption, if you got the best of the best, that means you paying good money for it. I don't necessarily agree with that, Newbie and Sage. I don't think it's that them making extra money as more of protecting their investment. Because look at everything that happened. Hell, even go back and look at what happened with Brittany Griner a couple years ago when she got trapped in Russia on that bullshit drug charge. That was BS. You think Brittany Griner is the only one that was smoking weed in Russia? Russians smoke weed in Russia. It's only illegal over here in the States. So that was BS. They just wanted to do something to get that dude back. So the political games and everything behind that. But my point is how much time did she miss? How much time did she miss? Because she under contract for somebody. She got to play for somebody. So when things like that happen, whether it's you get put in jail over in another country, or you get hurt playing in the Euro basket, or you to make light of an NFL story, you down in Miami, not playing, but you on the beach playing beach volleyball, and you twist your knee. That happened. So to me, Nubian, that's more of a protected environment. If you play Unrivaled, because look at it, they already got injuries in Unrivaled, and the league just the second season just started. Can you imagine if Aaliyah Boston had gotten hurt when she ran into the stanchion? Aaliyah Boston is a big star in the WNBA. Can you imagine if she got hurt in a 3-on-3 basketball league? And who's paying for that rehab? If somebody tears their knee, is Unrivaled paying for that rehab? Is that rehab and that doctor care as good as or better than what they have in the WNBA? That's the question. And after they've hurt, you still hurt your product in the WNBA because somebody who got hurt in Unrivaled can't play in the WNBA because they're not done with their rehab yet. They're not back to 100%. So they can't play for the team they're supposed to be playing for. That's why they got to protect their investment. So what do? Do you pay somebody the money? Or what's going to end up happening is they're going to write it in the contract. But you can't even do that now because what happens? Why do you think? And this again, this is my opinion. This is my opinion. Why do you think Caitlin Clark didn't play in Unrivaled? What happens if Caitlin Clark gets injured in Unrivaled? If they was trying to bully her in the WNBA, you don't think they was going to take a swipe at her in Unrivaled? They already did. The girl Marina Mabry already got in a fight in Unrivaled over some BS. So just imagine if she tweaked something or she twisted something on some BS plays in Unrivaled. Then when it comes back time to play for the Indiana where the real money is made, she's not there. And we already saw that happen. If she plays in Unrivaled, the only people that benefit is Unrivaled. Indiana Fever in the WNBA, they ass out. That's why they was going to pay her $5 million. That's why Ice Cube and the Big Three wanted to pay her $5 million or whatever it was. They understand what they got. but you can't get hurt. Now, you are right there. You can get hurt walking to your car in your driveway. Absolutely. That is 100% correct. You can get in a car wreck on your way to practice. The risk of injury in professional sports is ever present. I know guys that we in the league and in the NFL, Tuesdays is the NFL day off. So if you're gonna travel, if you're gonna hook up with somebody, if you're gonna go meet a girl or something like that, what you would do is as soon as you get out of practice on Monday, you fly out, you drive up, you do whatever you're gonna do Monday night, you spend Tuesday, and then you come back late Tuesday night so you can be at the stadium in time for practice. Tuesdays was the day off. I've seen guys come into the locker room on Wednesday for practice, got the black eye, still hungover. Some guys came in late because the plane didn't take off in time or got delayed, stuff like that. And things happen. Guys come in with black eyes because they got in a fight at the club, at the strip club or something like that. Things like that happen. So the possibility of risk is ever present. What you don't do is put yourself at risk. That dude in the NFL, let me find his name. The dude in the NFL that got hurt in the offseason, playing at it was like a celebrity, I think it was a fundraiser. NFL player gets hurt playing beach volleyball. The most famous case of an NFL player getting badly hurt playing beach volleyball is former Patriots running back Robert Edwards, who suffered a catastrophic knee injury, torn ACL, MCL, PCL, artery, and nerve damage, landing awkwardly on sand during a Pro Bowl week flag football game in 1999, which severely derailed his promising career. Though he did make a comeback years later, another notable incident involves former Lions tight end Joe Faria, who believes a volleyball injury to his ankle ruined his chance to stay in the NFL. So it's happened more than once. What you don't do is put yourself in danger. If you're not from Philly, you won't understand this, but you'll get it at the end. Carlos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When Joel Embiid hurt his knee and was rehabbing his knee, and we was waiting for him to come back and be on the court with the Sixers, he was at somebody's concert and was up on stage running around and jumping up and down and moving like everything was good. And folks around Philly lost their shit because they were like, what is he doing that? What is he doing that? Because he can step wrong, step on a wire or a cable and go back to square one. Why is he doing that? Don't put yourself in harm's way. So I don't know what Project B is yet, Newbie. Project B is like Live Golf. I don't know if you watch golf. Live Golf was the upstart golf tour that was battling the PGA. And they were paying Saudi. It was a Saudi-backed league, so they had crazy money. And some of the guys in the PGA were jumping ship because they were like, I ain't going to spend all this money to play in a tournament, and I'm going to finish 60th outside of the money. And I can join this league, be on a team, and be guaranteed $10 million over the next 3 years. And PGA lost their shit. The PGA lost a lot of money. Or they lost their mind because I couldn't believe that it was like an old boys network, and I was like, I couldn't believe you would go play in that trash. Well, that trash league is paying checks. So wait a minute, I got to play in the PGA, so I got to pay for my travel, pay for my accommodations, pay to play in the tournament. I might not finish in the money, and I got to pay for my travel, so I can finish 16th in the money and make, I don't know, $120,000. Or I can go over here and sign a contract for $10 million and I'm good. And the PGA panicked because good players started leaving. Well-known players started leaving. And then the PGA got their panties in a bunch and put out a mandate that said, hey, if you are in the PGA Tour, if you have your tour card and you go play and live golf, we reserve the right to take your tour card from you so you can't play in the PGA. That's what they did. That's what they were so jealous of that, and they were so scared that they was going to keep losing players. So here's what the PGA did. They took it among themselves to start paying better at the tournaments. Now the question becomes, well, why the hell didn't you do that in the first place? Why did it take this for you to act like that when everybody wants more money in the first place? So why did it take everybody leaving? You could have done that years ago. Why didn't you do it? That's what Project B is. And guess what? Everybody, what happens to all of the rookies and all of the players, because there's not a lot of teams in Project B. So what happens to the players? It's hard enough to make a WNBA team. So what happens to players that don't make it? Where do they go? What do they do? What if somebody doesn't, what if somebody planned on staying in the United States and they don't want to travel overseas? They don't want to play in Eurobasket or whatever. So what happens to the players that don't make it to Project B? There's always going to be issues. Again, why do you think that Nneka Ogwumike was the first person to sign? Alyssa Thomas, why do you think she was one of the first people to sign? Don't nobody want to see Alyssa Thomas play? She can't shoot. All she does is rebound. She's an aggressive player, all of that type of stuff, but she passed her prime. So what are you doing? What are they doing? They getting the payday. The veteran players, and again, I ain't blaming them, but the veteran players are getting the payday. By the way, we got 63 people on here. Make sure you subscribe to Pro Fan Hoops, and also make sure you subscribe to Pro Fan Talk, because I see a lot of people here on Twitter. So make sure you mosey on to YouTube, Pro Fan Hoops, and hit that sub for me. I appreciate it. So, yeah, just saying, I agree. I agree. This is not a good look for the players. And there's a lot of players that's going to be hurt by if they decide to strike. So we'll see what they're going to do. We'll see what they're going to do. Listen, I got on here. I meant to, at first, with the thing with the two responses, I was going to record a video. When I record a video, the goal is to record a video at least 8 minutes, really no longer than 10 minutes. Right? We going on an hour. I've been running off at the mouth for an hour about this. This is crazy. Because I want to see the women get paid, and I want to see WNBA action next year. I'm trying to watch Unrivaled, but I'm not interested in Unrivaled. I'm not crazy about 3-on-3 basketball. I'm not. I tried to watch 3-on-3 in the Olympics, and I watched Unrivaled last year, but it couldn't keep my interest last year. So yeah, man. I hope they get it together. I hope this doesn't sink them, because they still got time. Technically, they got time until the season start. That's when they start cutting games because you don't have a CBA. Now it's delaying some things because have they had a expansion draft yet? They already had the expansion draft this time last year. Golden State Valkyries already knew who they had. So what happens to Portland and Toronto? Who's on the team now? What are they going to do? Are you going to try to expedite that? Because if you get into a shaved season, if you start removing games from the WNBA season, they only play 44 games. So now you buckling down to 30 to 20. Like, How far do you have to go before you say we don't have enough for a league? We don't have enough for a season. That's the problem. And I said this before, and I'm about to land my plane here. When you're not playing, when you're not in the limelight, in the forefront, this day and age, there are too many other options for content. Whether you're on ESPN, whether you're on Fox Sports, whether you're on YouTube TV, Amazon Prime now has sports, whatever the situation is, there are too many other people that are trying to get your attention. They're just about to start a women's professional volleyball league. I don't know what it's going to do, but if the WNBA ain't playing, who do you think it benefits? So it's too many distractions now. Back in the 80s and back in the 90s and hell, even the 2000s, the amount of distractions that you could actually watch didn't exist. So if the Lakers was playing, I'm watching the Lakers. If Michael Jordan and the Bulls was playing, I'm watching the Bulls. If Tiger Woods was playing, I'm watching Tiger Woods. And Tiger Woods came along, cable was already established. So you had situations where you could get 100 channels and stuff like that. And it still wasn't the amount of distractions that you have now. There still wasn't the amount of options that you had now to watch on television. So, yeah, that's why Camilla had to play overseas. Yep. So, listen, everybody now coming into the WNBA, and here's the problem. Everybody now, college athletes now that are coming into the WNBA, every time they play, they take a pay cut. Every time Caitlin Clark plays, she take a pay cut. Every time Angel Reese played, she took a pay cut. Every time Paige Bueckers stepped on the court, she took a pay cut. So now they're trying to even that up. And if you can tell me I'm going to make at least $500K a year, not the extent of my contract, a year, that's a game changer. And if the Players Association are stuck on the revenue sharing, you know, the price is going to only go up. So let's just say they get 20%. 20% of what it is now is a lot less than 20% of what it's going to be 5 years from now, because the money can only go up. That's just the way that it is. So, but all right, I'm about to land this plane, man. I didn't mean to talk this long, but I appreciate the conversation, man. All them people on Twitter, I need y'all to come over to YouTube. YouTube is where it's at. So I'm trying to figure out a way how to get this on TikTok as well. So, but StreamYard ain't playing right. But we're going to get it done. But I appreciate everybody in this conversation. Nubian Sage, Just Saying 3000, my main man, Carlos, Kevin, the PRF. What's going on, dude? You know I appreciate you. Hit that like button. Everybody in the conversation today, man. That's what I like. I like to conversate, not a monologue. So stay up in that chat. Make sure you subscribe to Pro Fan Hoops. And we're gonna see what's gonna happen, man. We're gonna see how long this non-agreement continues. All right, stay tuned, man. So it's gonna be crazy. All right, I'm out. I'll let y'all later. Peace.
We clear, ready to transmit. Pro fan hoops on the court, we got the game lit. Not talking highlight reels just for the common glance. We talking dedicated skills, taking every chance. From logo threes to rebounds, Chicago got the me-bounds. Asia got 3 chips, Las Vegas aces in the town. You tune into the channel if you want to get the facts. Women's basketball is fire.